This is how copywriters charge 4 and 5 figures a project and get clients to happily pay it without any objection. Cindy was one of those copywriters, and she just signed a $4,000 contract with a 5% sales commission, and she stands to earn about $250 an hour. How the hell did she do it? Simple. She didn't price herself based on money per hour. She priced herself based on value created for the client. What the hell does that mean? I'm glad you asked, because that's exactly what I'm about to walk you through step by step in this video and hand you the exact playbook for charging premium rates as a copywriter. Let's dive in. This episode is brought to you by CopyLaunch. CopyLaunch is the leading membership for copywriters that helps them get high-paying clients. It contains $500 million copywriting courses, marketing playbooks, business processes, more than $50,000 in savings on your favorite software and tools, personal development frameworks, mentorship from world-class copywriters, and more in the one place. Head to copylaunch.com and save big on access with their founders deal while it lasts. What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Copywriter Show. On this episode, we are going to walk through step by step the exact playbook that copywriters use to receive 4 and 5 figure contracts consistently from high-paying clients who are happy to pay those prices without any objections whatsoever. So let us dive in to today. I'm just going to share my entire screen and we're going to go down the rabbit hole to begin with. Look at that. Okay, so let's now come across here. So how copywriters are signing 4 and 5 figure contracts. Why is how you price your services so important? It's all about positioning. If you've been following the Copywriter Show for a while now, you know that this is one of my favorite words because it is the essential step that copywriters need to make to differentiate themselves from the 3.3 million other copywriters out there in the world today. If you take a step back and look at what every other copywriter is doing, they have positioned themselves the same way. The copywriters that make significant money have positioned themselves in different categories. We call them categories of one. And when you price yourself the same way that other copywriters price themselves, which is money per hour, you position yourself against those copywriters. So you look just like another one. So how you price them stands as a way of how you differentiate yourself and you strengthen that position of saying, I am different to every other copywriter, and that is why you should work with me. Okay? So when we price ourselves money per hour, what we do is we rent our time for money. And that is a game that as a copywriter, we will never win. The reason for that is that time is a scarce resource. We only have 24 hours in a day, and copywriting is a very creative task. So in order for me to increase my income, I either need to work more hours, which will deplete the quality of my copy, because in order for copy to be of a high quality, we need to rest more than we write. But clients aren't going to pay us for the time that we're sitting here thinking about ideas or we're out walking in nature and letting things formulate. They're only going to pay us for the time that we sit down to actually create and type out or write out their copy. The second limiting factor here is what clients out there are going to charge or happily pay, I should say, $200 or $250 an hour, if not more. Like, what this does is it opens a loop for your clients to start going, hang on a sec, I reckon I can find a copywriter out there who's cheaper, because that's something that I value. I value getting a service at a rate that suits myself, and I reckon they're going to get me almost the same result because that's what they're promising. So you know what? I'm going to go with them. So this pricing per hour, it places you in a competition with the other copywriters who are doing the same, And it opens that loop for the clients to go, you know what, I'm actually going to take that option because they're promising me the same thing, but they're less expensive. So I'm actually going to stand to make more profit on the back end. Like, that's something that I'm going to do as a client. So when we price ourselves in a different way and focus on the value that we create for the client, we remove ourselves from that competition, we strengthen our position, and we stand alone. And what we then do is that we close that loop off, and instead of the client thinking about how much they're paying us, we get the client to see all the value that we're creating for them. Because as a copywriter, your copywriting skills are insanely valuable. You have this gift where you can communicate and use the written word or the verbal word to essentially move someone to taking an action, to align with their current belief system, and then stretch that belief system to include something new, which gets them to do something, gets them to take an action. That is incredibly, if not infinitely valuable. Okay? So if we're not pricing ourselves in this old, outdated, mundane, competitive, dollar per hour pricing structure, what do you do instead? Okay? You price yourself based on the value that you create for the client. And you're going to look at that and you're going to go, well, how do I know like what value I'm creating for the client? And how do I see that value? Easy. Okay? How you do it is you follow these 6 simple steps of how 6, 7, and 8 figure copywriters sell. Okay, this is the playbook. Every single time that you have a new client come to you, you individualize your pricing for them, because you're going to need to commit something different, and the outcome that they want is going to be different from all the other clients that come to you. Okay? At a 30,000 foot level, the goal that they want is the same. We'll cover that in a second, but on a very micro level, it's going to be specific for them. So every time you just go through these 6 simple steps, you identify what the client's goal is. You take what I call an ecosystem perspective, which allows you to see everything. You then analyze the data. You then set new data goals that align with the overall goal. You then show the client your deliverables about how you're going to achieve that. You send them the proposal. And because of how this compounds every step, what it creates for the client is that they can visually see, oh, yeah, if we make those changes, then this is what's going to happen for us on the back end. Oh, and I see how you're going to do that. Well, that makes complete sense. Instead of just talking about all of these things, it's written down and they can see it for themselves. And because we're using data and we're using numbers, it's very easy to see how by shifting X to Y, it creates this result on the back end. So clients can't negotiate, they can't argue, they can't question things, because it's data there in front of them. They might look at it and they might go, man, increasing the landing page conversion from 10 to 30% is a bit of a stretch. And you go, yeah, I agree, that's why we're only doing this. But you're also going to see how by making small changes to specific pieces of data and specific steps, it creates massive change on the back end, because those small changes are on highly leveraged aspects, which creates massive results on the back end. So let's walk through a specific example together of how you would go about doing this. Okay? So you have a client reach out to you and they want to optimize the conversion rate of their landing page. Very, very simple. We're driving traffic here to this page and we're selling our product. We're currently converting at X, we want it to convert at Y. Okay, that's their goal. They want it to convert at 22%, currently at 10%, and everything that they've tried to do, they can't bump it past this 10%. So you'd look at this and you'd say, well, the goal is doubling their landing page conversion rate. It's not. It never is. The client thinks it is, and the client's going to come to you and say, hey, we want our email open rate to increase, we want our email click rate to increase, we want to drive more traffic to this page, we want to get more people on our email subscriber list. Like, they're going to be focused there. But what you know as a world-class copywriter is that the goal is always more revenue on the back end. What the client is focused on is a single step that's going to create that for them, because they want more emails open to make more sales. They want more people on the email list to make more sales. They want more traffic to their page so that they can make more sales. They want their VSL to convert better so that they can make more sales. It always comes back to revenue generated on the back end. So that is the goal. That is what you work the client towards seeing. So by doing that and saying that what they really want is more sales and more revenue, you then ask questions. So in this example, you ask the client and they tell you, yeah, we sell $147 productized service. Currently, we sell 10 a week. We want to sell 20 a week. So you then look at it and you go, okay, you're making about $3,000 a week right now, which is close to about $12,000 a month. Okay, well, sorry, you want to make $3,000 a week. So you want to make about $12K a month. That's the goal that we're working towards. We're working towards $12,000 a month, which is 20 sales a week or 80 sales a month. Okay, that's our metric. And that's very easy to see, have we achieved that goal? Yes or no? Now, getting there, as you're about to see by taking an ecosystem perspective, the landing page isn't the only thing that matters. So while they're focused on the landing page, you now take this ecosystem perspective, see what happens before the landing page and after the landing page to say, hey, the goal is actually 80 sales. Here are the different ways that we can go about doing that. Because if we were to just focus on the landing page, that's really high risk, because it may not increase, because we don't know the quality of the traffic that's being driven there. We don't know the volume that's being driven there right now. And we don't know what's happening on the back end to all of the people who are already in their ecosystem when it comes to emails and being driven back to the page. So there's so many different variables at play here that go into this client generating sales, that the landing page is one small piece of the puzzle. Okay, so taking an ecosystem perspective, okay, as we just said, there's more that goes into a landing page conversion rate than just the copy that's on the page itself. Quantity and quality of the traffic that's being driven there. Where's it coming from? What are they seeing? How are they being framed before getting to the site? The emails that people are sent that are already on their list. How many of those are being sent? How many of them are being opened? How many of them are being clicked? What are they actually saying? Okay? And are they doing any retargeting for people who visited the page but didn't opt in? So they've shown intent originally and put their hand up and said, hey, I'm interested in this, but then they didn't act. There's a reason they didn't act. Have you followed up with them to get them back in order to act? All of those things optimized are going to help increase the sales for the client. And they're all things that you can help with as the copywriter. Okay? So that's the ecosystem perspective, seeing everything in its entirety instead of just a single piece of the puzzle. Okay? The third step is you then analyze the data. You just ask the client, can I please get how much traffic are you sending to the page every month? We know the landing page conversion rate's currently 10%. What's your email list size? What's your open rate? What's your click rate? And because we're focused on traffic, if they're running ads, okay, in this example, they're not, but if they are running ads, you'd want the daily spend, you'd want what their CPMs are. So how much is the client paying to get 1,000 people to see the ad? How many clicks, which is just the click to read more? What's the cost of that action? How many link clicks, which is getting them to the page, and the cost of that link click? And then what's the CTR, so the click-through rate? Of the 1,000 people who see it, how many people click through to the landing page? Okay? So this client tells you, we currently have 200 people visit the page every week organically. We're not running ads. That's just organic traffic through our social media channels. The landing page converts at 10%. They have 4,000 people on their email list. Okay, 15% email open rate. So of the monthly email that they send, 600 people open it. And they have a 3% click rate. So of those 600 people, 18 people click and visit the landing page, which at 10% means about 1, sometimes 2 sales a month from it. Okay, no ads being run. So as we said, 250 visitors to the landing page a week at 10% conversion rate, it's about 10 sales a month. Okay. One of those sales comes from that email list because they send a monthly email. So we have that and we go, okay, I can see how you're stuck at your current rate or your current revenue level. Now we want to do is we want to set new data goals that align with the goal, which for this client was 80 sales a month, getting to that $12,000 a month mark. Okay. So as we said, you could just focus on the landing page copy, but that's high risk. That's all eggs in one basket. And as you now see, there are different variables that go into play. So we set new data goals for all of those variables that are very achievable and help the client see that if we just increase this a little, increase this a little, and increase this a little, the back end outcome is massive, massive changes in revenue for the client. So what you do is you look at it and you go, okay, you know what, we're going to double traffic every week. Okay, which is just making a couple of changes to the social media content. We're going to improve the landing page. Instead of doubling it, we're just going to improve it to 15%. So 5 more sales for every 100 visitors that go there. So if we're driving an extra 250 people, that's an extra 12.5 sales. And for the emails, we're going to look to add 1,000 people to the list. Okay, increase the volume of people there. We're going to increase the email open rate 10%. Okay, so 2 times more people will open the email. And we're going to increase the click rate by 8%, which means that 5 times more people are going to visit the landing page, and all of that will result in an additional 15 sales a month. Okay, so with these new data sets, and this is what you would send to the client, landing page converts at 15%. Organic traffic increases to 500 people visiting the page every week, which means 75 sales a week, and it means 300 sales a month. Okay, so we're already seeing that, man, that small change of just doubling the traffic and increasing the landing page conversion rate a little bit has created massive, massive, massive outcomes on the back end. 1,000 people are going to now open the monthly email because we have a 20% email open rate. And there's 5,000 people on the list, and 100 people are going to click the email. And that means 15 additional sales every single month. So now, with this new data of just better landing page conversion, more traffic, more emails opened, more emails clicked, and a few more people on the email list, the client stands to make 315 monthly sales where their original goal was 80. If we would have focused just on trying to double the landing page, we would have only gotten to the 80. But because we've made these small changes to other data metrics that all influence revenue, we've exponentially increased what the client can achieve. Okay, so you've shown them a little extra traffic, landing page that converts a little better, and a few more emails sent, opened, and clicked 5 times their original goal. And all of that is more achievable than just doubling the landing page conversion rate, which was their original focus. Okay, that's the power of leveraging the right things. So you now have all of this, and what you do is then you put it together into what your deliverables are. So you write those down. To increase the traffic, we're going to do this to the content. You're going to post a couple more times, and a couple of those posts are going to be worded this way and be action-focused content. Instead of going here to read more, it's going to be very individualized and applicable. So to see how to apply this to your business, your life, your body, whatever, go here. Okay? To improve the landing page, we're going to run to and we're going to A/B split test headlines. Once we've optimized that and we've found a winner, we're going to move the call to action higher up and we're going to see what happens. And then once we've found a winner there, we're going to include more social proof and see what happens. Okay? To increase the email list subscriber, we're going to do the same thing to that landing page. So we're going to A/B split test headlines. Once we find the winner, we're going to make the page one fold only versus a couple of folds. And once we find the winner there, we're going to add some more social proof and see what happens. Okay? To improve the email open rates, I'm going to split test subject lines. See which type of subject line gets opened more. And so that we can get more data, we're also going to send a weekly value email, which means that we can now get even more data come back, and we're just going to provide value to the client, to the client's list, and we're going to create more goodwill and reciprocity because of that. And to improve the email click rates, what we're going to do is we're going to put the link in the first 2 lines of the email so that when someone opens it, instead of having to scroll, they're going to see the link there straight away and we're going to see what happens. And we're also going to, as I said before, send that weekly value email for more data. But here, when we're driving people to a click, we're just driving them to some other form of content that's valuable for them. This could be a short video, it could be a social media post. Again, we're getting data here of what happens when we include the link higher up in the email to the click rate. Okay? Once you've done that, this is where you then send them their proposal. I have proposals pre-built out for copywriters, and I'll link them in the description of this video that you can just copy and paste and then plug into to send these to clients. It includes all of this information in the steps, and it's very, very simple and laid out for you. Okay? But this is where you will see the big difference between pricing per hour and pricing based on value. Because for this landing page client, let's say that you quoted them and charged $150 an hour, which is quite high for a lot of copywriters. And say 15 hours to do for them. They look at it, they go, yeah, okay, you know what, that sounds pretty reasonable. That means that you charge them $2,500. Not bad for 15 hours of work. But if you focused on the value that you created for the client, you could see that the client could be making over $50K a month. So this here, it's not that much. Okay? And they're already at $12K a month. So even based on that, you could, if you looked at value created, you could charge them $5K a month because this is what I'm going to create for you on the back end. So you've limited yourself by looking at $150 an hour, because in order to get to the $5K a month mark or to the $5,000 mark here, you'd need to charge $300 an hour, and that's going to cause the client to balk. Okay? But instead of doing that, you focus on this value that you're creating and you price yourself using one of 4 different structures. Okay? All of these have a varying degree of risk. It's either you take on more risk, which means you have greater reward on the back end, or the client takes on more risk, which means that you don't get as much up front. Okay? Now, this is where the individualization piece comes in, because by having discussions with the client and getting to know them, you'll begin to see which of these is going to be the most enticing for the client and the one that they're most likely to say yes to. And what it means is that there's no objections, but they may negotiate a little bit, but that's where, because of what you put forward, you can bump it up a little, knowing that they might fight back, so that you then land on the rate that it is that you want for the project. Okay, so these 4 options, you have upfront only, which means that the client takes on all of the risk because they're just paying you, here's X amount, we hope to get the result that we're after. You have a higher upfront fee with a smaller sales commission. So the client only takes on some risk. Okay? You then have a lower upfront fee with a higher sales commission. So you take on the risk because you're getting less upfront. However, if it performs, you're going to get a lot more on the back end because of that sales commission. or you have the sales commission only, which is where you take on all the risk. Essentially, I'm doing the work for free, and knowing that this is performance based, I only get paid when sales are made. Okay? So, as an example, you could charge 5K up front for that landing page, knowing that the client's currently at 12K a month, and if you were to double their sales, they're at 24K a month. So the 5K up front, one fee only, it's not that much for them. Okay? Taking option 2, the higher upfront fee and the small sales commission. Charge 3K up front, ask for 5% of sales on the back end. The lower upfront, higher sales commission, 2K up front, 9% of commission, and if it's commission only, you want 15% of the sales. And we've based this over 3 months. The reason for that, and the reason that sales commissions work so well, is because you then continue to optimize and tweak things over those 3 months, which increases the likelihood of the client achieving their goal. It adds additional revenue for you, and you don't have to do that much at this stage. You're just optimizing and tweaking. It's an hour or 2 hours a week. You go in, you look at the data, you go, okay, we need this to perform a little bit better. I'm going to make this change, wait and see what happens. So it's highly valuable for the client, and it's also highly valuable for yourself because of that income that's going to come in, and you're not doing much work at that stage of the process. So let's say, with our example of the client, you make these changes, and over the 3-month period, month 1, they make 100 sales. Okay, so we've just beaten the old goal. We've gone from, 40 sales a month to 100 sales a month. The next month it improves again to 175 because we've continued to optimize things. And in month 3, we don't hit that 300 odd sales that we wanted, but we still get to 240, which is what they wanted, 80, 160. It's 3 times what their original goal was, which is huge for the client, massive win. So your income for each of the above options that we walked through here is this. If you took option 1, you make $5,000. Cool. Okay. But if you take another option and you start to take on more of the risk, with option 2, you got your 3K up front, you'd get an extra 730 month 1, an extra 1200 month 2, and an extra 2K month 3. So all up, you've made a little over 7K. If you take option 3, which is the small upfront with the higher sales percentage, you make close to 11K total because you got $1,000 up front. Month 1, you'd make a little over 1,300. Month 2, you'd make a little over 2,300. And month 3, you'd make over 3K because you took less up front and you asked for a small percent of sales on the back end. And if you look at this month 3, your $3,000, what's 240? Where's my calculator? Like if they're doing 240 sales at $147 each, they've made 35K that month, and you got 3K. The client's going to be okay with that because with your, piece involved, they're still making over 30K a month, 32,000 bucks a month. That's huge for them considering they only used to make 12. And then in option 4, where it's performance based only, you wouldn't get anything up front, but the first month you'd make a little over 2,200, the third you'd make close to 4K, and the second month you'd make close to 4K, and the third month you'd make over 5K, bringing you to almost $11,500 for that client, for that project. And if the work takes you a total of 25 hours over the 3 months, so you do the 15 up front, and then it's 10 hours over the next 3 months to optimize and tweak things. Option 1 of taking the upfront would put you at $200 an hour. Option 2, higher upfront, small sales commission, will put you at $284. Lower upfront with higher sales commission on the back end, so more risk for you, puts you at $440 an hour. And option 4, where you took the sales commission only, puts you at a little over $450 an hour. And you start to look at this and you go, now I see where the leverage comes from. Now I see how clients will happily pay this and how copywriters can charge 4 or 5 figures a project. Because if you're a copywriter and you go to the client and you say to them, as I said right at the beginning, like my rate's $200 an hour, it's going to take me 15 hours to do it. That opens the loop for the client to go, man, I reckon I could get someone to do it just for $100 an hour. And it's going to cost me half the price and I'm going to get almost the same outcome, because the client doesn't know that you can create the outcome for them. So for them, the likelihood of achievement is the same with other copywriters as it is for yourself. But by focusing on the value that you're creating for the client and not even discussing what your rate is, just here's everything that we're going to do and here's the outcome that I can create for you on the back end, and you've seen it all here with the data and with what I'm going to do. And I'm just going to continue to work on it, continue optimizing it so that we can hit these data points. This is what you create for yourself on the back end, and the client's not even thinking about it. The client at this point, when you've increased their revenue from $11,000 a month to $35,000 a month, they're not even thinking about how much you're getting paid, because you've delivered the outcome for them and they're grateful for that and they say thank you, and you then look at it and you go, man, I just earned $450 an hour. It's pretty goddamn good. Okay? So that's what's possible when you create your offer and you price it correctly. You play a different game to other copywriters. Okay? At these sort of rates, you just need 1 client a month. And if you get a second, then it becomes even more leveraged and valuable for you. And this is how I was able to fly business class and pay for a 6-week European adventure with my wife from just 1 launch client, where I received $46K. It's how I was able to make $40K from helping a Web3 company launch. It's how Elias was able to make $4K and a 4% sales commission just from spending some time in Reddit, and how tiahn was able to make $15K from a funnel pack, because they packaged things up and priced themselves differently to every other copywriter out there by using this 6-step playbook instead of just saying I charge X per hour. Okay? And when you do that, clients don't balk, because the offer and the outcome for them is irresistible. They don't say no when they see the value that's in it for them. The only reason that they would is if you stretch the data too far and they go, hey, that's pretty unrealistic. But by showing them that a small 5% increase here, a small 10% increase here, a small extra 500 people, that's realistic, that's achievable. And they go, yeah, okay, we can do that. And then on the back end, because we've increased small things and a variety of them, we get a great result on the back end, a much bigger increase. And then clients don't negotiate when the return of investment for them makes sense. Okay? They may say, hey, 9% sales commission's a little high, how's 7 or how's 6? And you go, man, how's 7? But you charge the 9 because you were happy with 6 or 7. So that's where some negotiation skills come into play. But the most important thing is that when you price yourself this way, you have the leverage. Yes, you take on a little more risk than the dollar per hour, but that risk has exponential rewards on the back end, and you're more likely to sign the client and get the project compared to every other copywriter, because you have positioned yourself differently. So thank you very much for joining me on this episode of the Copywriter Show. If you found value from this, please like, subscribe, share it with your copywriting friends. Thank you very much for being here with us. Thank you very much for being here with me. I appreciate you and your attention. If you want to learn how to actually apply this for yourself, and all of the other steps that come before it that allow you to position yourself, conduct $1 million market research, create a banger offer so that you can then price it, and then take the next steps of marketing yourself so that you capture all the demand of your specific market and attract high-paying clients to you, and then deliver on that. I've put together the only 7-day copywriting business crash course that's available online. Over 7 days, I gift you and walk you through the playbook for all of those steps. How to position yourself, how to conduct $1 million market research, how to create your offer, how to price it, how to market yourself, how to sell it, and then how to deliver that copy at a top tier world-class level. It's free. I will link it in the description below. All you need to do is come here, just pop in your email, and there's an overview of what we cover on each of the 7 days through each of those playbooks that I gift you and walk you through. Now, once again, thank you for being here. We'll see you on the next episode.